Hey friends, welcome back to the Connected Families podcast. I'm Laura Way, content manager here at Connected Families, filling in for Stacy today. Welcome to our community. We are people committed to pursuing God's grace and truth for ourselves, and then daily working to pass that grace and truth on to our children. I'm so glad you're here today. We're wrapping up our summertime conflict series, and today I want to talk to you about something that I think is at the heart of every parenting challenge we face, but perhaps especially when tensions are high in sibling conflict. When Connected Families teaches about sibling conflict, we teach a tool called the peace process, and you can learn all about that and deep dive into the tool in our sibling conflict online course, which, by the way, is included in the new CF community. Check that out in the show notes. So the first step of the peace process, like almost all our tools, is calm down. This is because kids and parents learn best, solve problems best, and do life best when we are calm. Our brains and bodies can't engage in much besides fight, flight, or freeze if we're not calm. We're just in survival mode. But what about when it's difficult for us as parents to enter into sibling conflict with our own calm? I want to talk about how we as parents respond to chaotic moments or conflict-ridden moments. The sad truth is that yelling, "calm down," across the house to fighting kids is not effective. And neither is storming into the room with, "How dare you?" or "What were you thinking?" accusations. So today I want to tell you about my favorite Connected Families tool. Favorite because I am a sensitive and intense mom who struggles to stay calm as I parent my two sensitive and intense daughters, especially when they're fighting. The tool is called Slow, Low, and Listen, and I think of it as a prerequisite for the peace process because we can't expect our children to be calm when we are not. This is based on an article I wrote about Slow, Low, and Listen, and you can find that linked in the show notes as well. Here's the thing. We all want to be a loving, caring parent, guiding our children to wisdom. You want to respond with graceful instruction rather than quick, harsh reactions during difficult disciplinary moments. Sometimes, though, we struggle to translate our beautiful intentions into the day-to-day moments, especially when facing meltdowns, ongoing whining, or, wait for it, sibling conflicts. If you're anything like me, when you're exhausted, frustrated, or dysregulated, you're much more likely to give unhelpful and unkind knee-jerk reactions, to rush into conflict with harsh, punitive, lay-down-the-law energy that doesn't actually produce wisdom or grow skills in our kids. I almost immediately regret a harsh reaction, and I bet you do too. So if you find yourself reacting harshly to your child more frequently than you'd like, or if, like me, you've struggled to break that pattern, I hope you'll take heart. With practice, lots of grace for yourself and for your kids, and a little understanding of how God designed our bodies, we can break habits of harshness and move towards the grace-filled parents we long to become in sibling conflict and beyond. So first, let's talk about why we get harsh and go fast, large, and loud. You likely recognize when your child becomes dysregulated, whether it's a gradual increase in agitation or an explosive outburst of anger. Sometimes it may seem as if their emotions can escalate from calm to chaos in the blink of an eye. But it's not just your child who gets caught up in the storm. Often their dysregulation spills over, sweeping you into a whirlwind of frustration and urgency to make it stop. In these moments, it's tempting to meet outbursts with a loud, reactive response. You might think, or even say, "Are we seriously doing this again?" At this point, you've entered into your child's dysregulated state. You're both dysregulated, and neither a conversation nor comfort is possible. Whatever you say during this heightened state is likely unhelpful and, regrettably, can be harsh and unkind. Ask me how I know. When I told my coach a few years ago about my struggle to stay regulated when my kids became dysregulated, she told me about slow, low, and listen. It's a tool I still use almost daily to help my nervous system stay calm so I can enter into conflict or just daily chaos helpfully. I remember a time after a few attempts of getting me to say yes to a request. My daughter's face became red and contorted with rage, and she started to scream and cry. Any attempts at coming near her were unwelcome. Usually when that happens, I can feel my body shift into shutdown mode. Thankfully, in this instance, I remembered the tool my coach taught me. Here's how it looked that day, and I'll never forget. I sat down on my kitchen floor, facing my 7-year-old daughter, and I noticed a brief expression of surprise across her face. I said nothing while I took a few deep breaths. I was relieved to feel that sitting down seemed to signal to my body that this was not a crisis. She joined me on the floor, continuing to cry and make her requests, demands, known. But I was able to keep my voice calm and kind. I did my best to communicate empathy. I knew what she wanted and why, and I knew not getting it made her sad. We rode the waves of the big feelings together, and then moved on with our evening. I couldn't wait to tell my coach. I used slow, low, and listen, and it helped both me and my daughter to navigate a difficult outburst. Here's the cool thing. This tool is backed by science. God designed your brain to respond to threats instantaneously. When there is a real danger, your nervous system serves you well by bypassing your slower, more complex frontal lobe function, where we access our logical problem-solving skills. Instead, it focuses its energy on getting you out of danger. This is probably what you know as fight, flight, or freeze. It's a natural emergency response. Unfortunately, though, sometimes your brain isn't always great at knowing the difference between a real emergency, like a bear, and a child screaming at you. And at the same time, it's sometimes hard for a child to discern a real threat, like a bee sting, from a caregiver saying no to a request. If you were really in danger, your body might use fast, large, and loud, fight, action to defend yourself. This is often where your child's body goes when they're dysregulated. And it's also where you might go naturally when responding to your child's fast, large, and loud responses. Their emergency response triggers your own emergency response. As parents, you can break this escalating cycle, but first you've got to slow yourself down. Otherwise, you'll run into the situation with all the energy of a bear chasing you up a tree. You can diffuse tense situations like these with your kids by choosing to approach them with the opposite of fast, large, and loud. Instead, you can go slow, get low, and listen to your child. The beauty of slow, low, and listen is that it's a powerful tool for both parent and child. That's what surprised me the most in the kitchen that day. How slowing down and simply sitting quietly helped my body stay calm and regulated. My brain knows I would not be sitting down if there was any imminent danger. So it allowed me to begin to think again with my upper brain, which is much more able to treat my child with empathy and compassion through her upset. So let's break this down even more so that you can start using slow, low, and listen in your daily life. First, remember, this tool is about you. It's about your responses and what's going on inside of you. The goal is to get you regulated so that you can help your dysregulated child. It can help you tame your anger and stop harsh reactions to your child. And it can do so much more. It's also about connecting with your child in their most vulnerable moments when they're struggling. Before you can effectively help your child work through their behavior, you have to deal with what's going on inside you. The Connected Families Framework calls this your foundation. It's the source of your responses to your child. So how do you use this tool to develop the habit of showing compassion to your child instead of harshness? The first thing is you've got to go slow. Buy yourself some time. Slow down and invite the Holy Spirit into these moments. If you're in the habit of saying harsh words or reacting poorly when your kids misbehave, take a few deep breaths and give your brain a moment to realize that this isn't an emergency. Of course, sometimes it is an emergency, such as when a sibling aims a brick at another, or a toddler runs toward a swimming pool without an adult or a life jacket, or your child simply decides to make a smoothie without the lid to the blender. In those cases, let your emergency responses do what they're good at, moving quickly and with big energy. Save your correction and teaching for after the danger is cleared and when you can better slow down. This doesn't have to be complicated. Because children mirror our response and behavior, any action you take to stop yourself from running into the moment of correction with your initial reaction will work. Slowing down might be as simple as putting your hands in your pockets or behind your back, taking a step back, or leaning against the wall. It might mean taking a bathroom break or doing a few jumping jacks. Take a moment to sip ice water from a straw or rub lotion into your hands. It might involve doing some breath prayers or breathing exercises. And you can always invite your children to join you, but just know that they will likely not be willing if they're already significantly dysregulated. Okay, so the second thing, get low. Your brain listens to your body. For my body, getting low is where the magic is. You can help your body stay calm and regulated by intentionally choosing positions of relaxation, sitting down, leaning back, and even propping up your feet. Your bodily position tells your brain there isn't an imminent threat, and it allows the flight, fight, freeze response to fade. If possible, put yourself in a position at eye level or even below your child. This powerfully communicates to your child's nervous system that you are not a threat. Early on in my journey to regulate my own nervous system, I would often go immediately into shutdown, lying down on my daughter's bed while we talked. While this wasn't the calm and connected posture I knew I was working towards, I did notice it de-escalated those situations much faster than barking orders from the door. Okay, number 3, slow to speak and quick to listen. I don't know about you, but my tendency is to lecture and use a lot of words. The problem is that when your kids are dysregulated, they can barely hear your words. Remember, the logic and problem-solving parts of their brain are literally offline. In fact, research shows that emotions can inhibit learning by blocking these cognitive processes in the face of threat. Lecturing a dysregulated child usually leads to frustration on both sides. You sense they're not truly listening because they can't, and they feel shamed or controlled. Speaking fewer words and a calm voice opens up the opportunity for listening, as opposed to harsh or dismissive demands to just stop it or calm down. By genuinely listening to and seeing your child, you communicate, you are safe with me. Notice your face and see if you can relax your expression into one of empathy and love. You want to be ready to listen not only to your child's feelings, but also to the Lord's leading. In your silence, you can ask God one or more of these curious questions. Lord, what's the opportunity here? Lord, would you give me your heart for my child? What's the need driving this challenge? What's it like to be my child right now? Then you can repeat your prepared, grace-filled truth, pray silently or out loud for wisdom and grace. Post a key scripture and then repeat it, especially when you need it. James 1:19 and 20 says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger doesn't produce the righteousness that God desires. Jesus, our Prince of Peace, often modeled slow, low, and listen in his interactions with people. Think of the time when Jesus was confronted with a woman caught in adultery, and the angry mob wanted to stone her. In an intense conflict, he stoops down to draw in the sand. And this non-threatening posture and curious question help to diffuse the angry mob and offer restoration to the woman. Once your child feels safe with you, their bodies can begin to regulate and regain access to their frontal lobe and the ability to think clearly and to learn. Not until then can you effectively begin to do whatever coaching or correcting may be necessary. Friends, here's a gentle reminder. You will likely need to practice slow, low, and listen again and again. As a mom with a sensitive nervous system, I use this tool daily. Anytime I feel my body start to shift into fight, flight, or freeze. If you often approach your child's misbehavior or big emotions with fast, large, and loud energy, take heart. You are not alone. Slow, low, and listen is a tool you can practice over time. If you want kindness to guide your actions with your children, start with slow, low, and listen. I heard of one dad who struggled to remember these steps, so he wrote slow, low, and listen on his hand. And when he was heading angrily toward a misbehaving child, a compassionate sibling said, "Dad, look at your hand." Peace prevailed in his response, and he gradually learned that new habit. While you learn, practice, and grow in these skills, you're also modeling regulation for your child. As this process is repeated with a sense of safety and love, it gradually builds trust and self-regulation skills in your child. And I'm going to be super honest here. I don't always remember to enter challenging situations at home in a posture of slow, low, and listen. But when I do, I am so much better able to communicate the messages I really do long for my child to hear. That, child, you are safe with me. You are loved no matter what. You are called and capable. You are responsible for your actions. And I believe that maybe that's because when I slow down, get low, and seek to listen, I am better able to receive these messages from my heavenly parent. I am safe and can be okay even when my child is not. I am loved no matter what, even in this struggle. I am called and capable of parenting this child to become who God is calling her to be. I am responsible for my own actions in this interaction. If I blow it, I can repair. Always remember, friends, God is with you in these moments with mercy and help. Thank you so much for tuning in today, friends. Would you forward this episode to a friend? And if today's episode resonated with you, I want to remind you about the CF community. Everything we've talked about over these last couple weeks, the sibling conflict course, slow, low, and listen, tools, live Q&A group coaching, is all waiting for you there. All the links are in the show notes, so don't worry about writing it down just yet. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Remember, you are not alone. There is grace for the journey, and with God's help, you can become the grace-filled parent you long to be. We'll see you next week. Connected Families is a nonprofit ministry made possible by The Table and other donors. The Table is a group of people from around the world who are committed to Christ-centered transformation and families. Their monthly giving equips parents and caregivers with biblical and research-informed resources that cut the overwhelm and guide parents well. Would you consider joining us at the table today? For more information about Connected Families, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, or go to connectedfamilies.org. We'll see you next time.